Hey, folks, how's it going? This is the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. We are here once again on a Wednesday evening. We have a familiar trio to cover the finale, of course, of the Rings of Power Amazon Prime video series, the controversial series that so many people seem to be so upset with and hate and despise and think is like the worst thing that ever happened or whatever, which I don't really know what they're talking about, but we're going to be discussing that, fleshing it out, dropping our opinions on that. And I think at the end of the day, we're probably going to have some uniformity on it. But what can you do, right? We're not going to pretend that one of us hates the shit just to fucking, get views or whatever. So we don't play that kind of crap. We only expose ourselves nudity wise and whatnot for that. Either way, as always, we're very thankful and appreciative to all of you that enjoy our review. We hope that you have a good time enjoying it, or at least don't fall asleep during it. And as always, I am blessed and pleased and happy and feel lucky. And I'm excited to join my co-host, the wonderful, prophetic, eternally a content creator forever, Cyberneticshark. What up, brah?
What's up, people?
Yo, I'm telling you right now, man, I'm going to make sure we get some Rings of Power t-shirts for season 2. You too.
Rings of Power.
I got you, bro. You'll get to it. I guarantee you. I'll make sure you get them.
Bro.
We'll have them. And they'll look dope, too, I bet. I guarantee it. I'd love to have a t-shirt with one of those Rings of Power logos on it. That shit would be cool. June, it's good to see you back, man.
Good to be back, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you know what? It's good to see you too, man. It's good to talk to you, brother. June is a wonderful guest. And although he's different than the usual ones because he actually was great from the beginning and he just continues to regress as he goes. You know what I'm saying? But no, I'm just playing. June's a very consistent guest, a very consistent contributor. And we've enjoyed having him on the series and whatnot because he brings a lot of positivity and he loves Lord of the Rings, and we like that. We enjoy it.
Do love Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Here he goes. There's Mr. Booze and Chill himself. What up, Raymond?
Booze and Chill.
Drunk yet, motherfucker? What up? Hope your family's well. Hope your kid's well and whatnot and everything. Raymond, your kid is cute, man. She's adorable. I'm telling you. You should see her. You should see Raymond's kid, guys. She is cute, man. And Raymond's wife is not bad looking either. I will not admit. I'm sorry, no disrespect there, Raymond. But anyways, I'm just messing with you, Raymond. Appreciate you, bro. But no, so here to do the finale. Of course, as always, please subscribe if you enjoy what we do here at the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. Consider possibly liking us. We love comments. And, in general, keep on following us and whatnot, because I believe very, very soon we're going to be delving heavily back into some MCU, type content and whatnot. We've got some really fun ranking shows and recaps and, some preview stuff for Phase 5 and Phase 6 coming up. I'm planning it right now. Cyber and I are talking about it. Should be a blast. I know I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. I'm sure, June, you're going to want to participate in some of all that. You can't not have fun doing a freaking a Disney Plus series ranking show, man. That's just a blast.
That does sound like a good time.
It is. Yeah. It's fun, man. You can't not have fun. I love doing preview shows too. They're fun. And I believe me, I'm hard at work, man. I can show you my notebook right now. I've got notes for the Thunderbolts, Captain America, New World Order, all of it, man. I'm putting it all together. It's all there. Anyways, I'm prepared. So, folks, essentially with the finale, I guess just start things off, Cyber, June, I'd like to ask you basically before we go into the finale, or for you basically individually when you went into the finale, right? Maybe kind of just where you were at with the series overall, starting with you, June, and then Cyber, like kind of where you were at with the series overall, your feelings, and then what your expectations were with the finale before you watched it.
Yeah, so going back to the previous episode, was not expecting the previous episode to end the way that it did. And when it happened, it was kind of like, whoa, okay, that's kind of a thing. It completely caught me off guard. So going into that finale, I had no expectations because that was something where if it had happened in the last episode of the season, I would understand. Huge cliffhanger. We kind of have to wait for what's coming next. When that happens with one episode still remaining, I was just at a loss for what to expect. So that was I was expecting what's the name of the kid from the other island? Not Elendil's son?
Oh,
Isildur. Yeah, I was expecting him to turn up in this episode, but he didn't. So I'm not really sure where they're going with his storyline. But other than that, I didn't really have any expectations.
okay, Cyber.
So my basically my thoughts up to this point on the series so far is I definitely felt that there was a lot of good episodes, and there was a few episodes that I felt that were kind of slow and dragged a little bit. So I definitely had highs and lows throughout the first 7 episodes, most definitely. And up to that point, I mean, there was a lot of episodes I really enjoyed. There were some episodes I just thought, oh well, you should have cut this out. I don't think this was really necessary type of deal. But overall, I was really excited up to this point. I felt that the last couple episodes really started gearing up for this conclusion, for this finale, and really got me even more excited, especially last episode. I definitely feel that the last episode, just like with June saying about Isildur's son there, kind of like what his kind of role is, I definitely feel there was some characters that they kind of ramped up a story a little bit, but then with the finale, they didn't really close out or end their story, or, gave any insight into what, they were up to the point to figure out where they'll go in the next season. And I definitely feel that with a few of the different characters. But overall, I think up to this point, I thought it was really decent and really enjoyable. And I think it definitely ramped itself up the last few episodes and really caught my eye again.
Most definitely, yeah. And honestly, I think that at least the way I felt about it was that the series, I mean, say what you want about it, I guess, in terms of good, bad, or whatever, but I did feel like there was a consistency to it, to where when I went into the finale, I didn't need to be blown away or anything like that or whatever. There didn't need to be any epic, whatever, besides the basic stuff, right, that we were waiting to be unveiled. Okay, Sauron, I still have no freaking idea who the hell the stranger is. I'm not sure if they explained that in the finale. I don't even know. I'm not even sure. I don't know. I know he's not Sauron, though. So there you go. That's good. But and he's good, though. He's good. That's very clear. Yeah, the phrase "you're good" is repeated very many times. And honestly, it makes me fucking laugh my ass off. I won't lie. Nori is funny as shit to me sometimes. Like, I guess she's supposed to be so profound or whatever, prophetic with her lines and everything. And she is cute. Or Nori's a girl, I think. Yeah. Poppy's the guy, I think. But no, either way, I just think it's funny just because all Nori says is this very simplistic shit, like, "you're good." You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. You know what I mean? It was just perfect. When friggin' the stranger gets his like big moment, all he friggin' says is, "I'm good." I'm like, okay, great.
I think it goes a long way to show the simplicity of the hobbits, though. Like, they're known to just be the simplest of the races. So for them, that's the extent of their depth. So
you're right.
I think it works for what they are. Yeah.
It's just the way that they cinematically present it. You know what I mean? So that's all it is. If they just like kept it kind of chill with it, you know what I mean, or whatever. But the way that they shoot the angles in on Nori and whatnot, and like elevate Ori in those moments, it just kind of like takes away from it to where you're like, okay, like I get it, he's good. We know, we've come to that conclusion already. Like, okay, but whatever, that's okay. Hey, you know what? Like you said, Harfoots are very simple folk, and at the end of the day, that's what the stranger needed. So, and now he's good. We know that. But either way, so we know who Sauron is, right? I mean, I unfortunately, freaking Wikipedia has already blown that up on me anyway, a couple episodes ago. But we know now that Halbrand is Sauron, although I think some of us already basically kind of figured that, right? I mean, what did you think, Cyber? Did you already know that he was, before we even had it, blown up? Did you kind of have a sense that he was Sauron?
No. I wasn't sure who Sauron was going to be. I mean, to a point, I knew there was something mysterious about Halbrand, but I wasn't sure where they're going to go with it. I wasn't sure if they're going to make him a different character or if they were going to end up having him be Sauron. I wasn't sure. I felt how his character's development and how his story was going, I didn't see enough stuff to really connect him to Sauron. as the episodes went on. So I just might have been, absent-minded about some of that. Like maybe there was clues, but from what I recall and what I saw, I didn't see anything that really pointed to him being Sauron. So no, I didn't foresee him being Sauron up until, they revealed it.
June, what were your thoughts? Did you kind of already have an implication or whatever, or were your thoughts already heading in that direction?
I wanted him to be Sauron. I thought it would be a really cool way to get some cool story out of him as a character. I loved him as a character, but I didn't have any kind of solid reason to believe he would be until the part where he's actually working with Calimbor, and he starts talking to him about how to mix different alloys in, and then he says a line where he says, "Consider it a gift." And at that moment, I was kind of like, "Yep, okay, that's him." Because in the old stories, he was said to be a Lord of Gifts. Like Sauron had disguised himself as the Lord of Gifts when he came to make these rings. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just wait until they reveal that he's Sauron. But at that point, I kind of knew. But yeah, I wanted him to be Sauron.
They'd already dropped a couple of other hints, a couple other lines that were similar and whatnot that kind of were very heavily
vague and ominous. Every time he said anything that was remotely vague and ominous, it sounded
they were starting to slowly drop them. Yeah, they were. And then of course there's the dynamic with Galadriel as the main character and whatnot. If someone was going to be Sauron, right? Why wouldn't it make sense logically? It would be the character that you see Galadriel with the most, and she actually has some kind of romantic tension with and whatnot, right? There you go. So, I mean, it made no sense that the stranger was Sauron. Why the how the hell?
Oh, that was very When they said that, it was like a nah.
Why would Sauron ever get to a point where he would know where the fuck he was? I mean, I don't see why that would even occur. Like seriously. But either way, I don't know Sauron that well, but he doesn't seem to be the type of being to me that would be capable of even being put into a state like that, to where like he wouldn't know who he was. I think you pretty much either kill him or you don't. Pretty much, and that's it. But again, I'm not an expert on Sauron. Although I will tell you that I think, June, probably if anything, you're also mentioning, what you're also saying is basically that you wanted to see Charlie Vickers, the actor, be Sauron.
Yeah, both him and the character, I suppose. Yes. I thought that he brings a great kind of humanity to the character, which for me, when the reveal happened, was really nice. I enjoyed that. He's a very likable guy. Of course, someone like Sauron who can rally people behind him has to be this. He can't be a dark, brooding guy all the time. He has to be a lovable, kind of charming, roguish kind of guy to get people, to trick people, essentially.
Yes, that does make sense. You're right. That Sauron just being like a like dark side type.
He's not gonna show up decked out in black plate armor and then say, "Yes, I'm here as a friend."
Yeah,
that's not really gonna fly.
Yeah, I destroy worlds for fun. That deal. No, I don't. He's not. I wouldn't expect him to be that type either, right? Especially not coming from the Lord of the Rings types, dynamic. You don't expect to have simplistic characters like that are just like whatever. That's not Lord of the Rings-ish at all. And for the most part, I thought this series did not give us characters like that. They were not like totally one-dimensional. To some extent. But overall, in general, we can talk about the acting and whatnot later on. But no, I would agree with you. I think if anything, I think the Charlie Vickers casting was a great decision. They did a great job with that. I really do. I think he's done a great job with the character, whether as Halbrand or Sauron. And I think the dichotomy of like seeing him as Sauron in season 2 versus Halbrand in season 1, that is going to be interesting and fascinating to me, right? How he plays that. You know what I mean? Think like Moon Knight, think, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about how, how Oscar Isaac did the different personalities type deal. Something like that, I like that contrast. But basically, so in terms of like the intro of the series, the intro of the episode, the finale, basically, essentially we start right off with, June, is it Calimbor?
Calimbor.
Calimbor. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. So we get Calimbor, and him and Elrond essentially are discussing and talking about the reality in their current situation, you know, in terms of the whole elvish race and people, where, you know, what's going to be happening at this point in terms of the fact that the dwarves are not going to help them, right, with the mithril, and, you know, and give them the light that they need or whatever, whatnot, to be able to sustain themselves in Middle Earth. So at that point, Elrond essentially tells them, hey, you know what, it is what it is. You know, we're going to have to go home. There's no way around it. And at that point, basically, I mean, it's not a very big drawn out conversation. There really isn't anything all that intense that happens. Galadriel shows up with her little, you know, what's left of her band, and Halbrand, the you know, the wounded Halbrand from, you know, what happened with the whole destruction of the volcano, you know, in episode 6 and into 7, you know, and of course she's here to bring Halbrand to be healed with elvish medicine and whatnot and everything. And of course, I don't know what you guys were thinking, but I was thinking to myself already, even before I knew he was Sauron, you know, or whatever. Well, I already knew, but, you know, I was thinking to myself, like, he can't be really wounded. This has got to be strategic. You know what I'm saying? Like, why the hell else would he want to be here? You know, like, this doesn't seem, you know, I thought something seemed a little bit amiss. You know, and then, of course, and this is actually, I think, very important and like a very poignant, and June already kind of mentioned it, a very poignant part of the beginning of the episode that sort of essentially kind of gives us a sense of what direction we're going or into it, and then ties into like the end of the episode very heavily, and that is the injection of Halbrand suddenly perfectly fine, amazingly, based off the elvish medicine. He no longer is even injured at all. He's like better than ever. He's even healthier than he was, like, wounded, even before. He's like happy and everything, and like can't even wait, and all about talking, you know, to Calimbor to help out and whatnot, and simply explain to him, you know, like in a very like basic premise, hey, you know, all you gotta do is just add another element to this mithril, right, and bond it. You know, if supply's the issue, then, you know, add some shit to it, make more of it. You know, and this, of course, the light bulb pops up in, you know, in Calimbor's head. He's like, oh my god, you know what? That's it. You know, that's the gist. So at that point, guys, Cyber, what did you think of the immediate situation of immediately Halbrand waking right up? First thing he does, goes right to, you know, Calimbor, and has all the answers, right, for the situation with the mithril.
So, while I was watching it, the first thing I was thinking of, just like what he said, shouldn't you be laying down? And he was up and kind of searching around where the bed was in the room. And I was like thinking to myself, that's interesting. He seemed to be
or something. I mean,
yeah, that he was. I thought he was mortally wounded, and you're like, why the hell is he like up and about like that so easily? So first thing that came to mind to me, just like you, was that this was a fake, you know, dying. And I even kind of felt that way at the end of the last episode when he's like talking to her and stuff, and how he was reacting when she told her that she'll take him to the elves and stuff like that. He almost seemed like he was suggesting take him to the elves, like this was a plan. So most definitely something was amiss there, and it was very suspicious. And then when he started talking about, you know, all the things and seeing this in person, and never thought I'd be there to see this, and like, you know, then suggesting how to, you know, basically, you know, fix what they're having a problem with. You know, Alps, we all have mentioned this before, Alps are very high superiorly smart. They are not, you know, dumb at any sort or anything like that. So like, it's surprising that they wouldn't have thought of this already. But at the same time, it's like he just out of nowhere just goes, well, if you do this and that, and you can be able to do this. It was very, very suspicious. So that kind of like keyed me in, and, you know, was leading me more to him being Sauron, as like I mentioned earlier. But definitely it was very suspicious, I thought. And overall, I thought that there's definitely something amiss here, and, you know, what's going to happen.
June, did you think it was too convenient? Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't think that much of it when it occurred, when I was watching it. I didn't think to myself, like, oh, this is too much, or this is too evident. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's too simplistic or something.
I think I didn't think that only because I had enough of a background in the lore to kind of understand what was going on. I feel like this show is definitely directed a little bit more towards people that are not familiar with the lore. So I think it was probably done fine.
Now, you tell me, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I personally don't.
I think it served the show well. I think it served the show well.
I don't think it hurts anything. I mean, if anything, I would think if anything, all I'm saying is if anybody has a problem or an issue with it not being accurate enough or whatever, from a Tolkien standpoint or from a Lord of the Rings standpoint, I would think if anything that doing things like that would bring in more people to make them want to go back and read the novels for the first time, right? Want to go back and go watch Lord of the Rings films, maybe. That's positive.
Right.
So I like that aspect. I do. I mean, it's a balance, right? I mean, you want to, teach, bring in new people and teach them, explain to them what's going on. At the same time, you want to try to make the fans happy, right? And it's a balance. You're never going to make everybody happy. But so essentially, again, that conversation then essentially immediately like invigorates the creative process, I guess you could say, regarding Calimbor and his continued mission to construct. At this point he doesn't know what he's going to construct, right? But essentially now is his his desire or his goal or his mission to essentially forge something to save the elves, keep them Middle Earth, right? Help them stay and not have to leave for home. So at that point, basically, we get a scene where we're in Numenor now. Miriel and Elrond are not back yet. And basically, I forget the name of the character in Numenor. He's like a businessman, I believe, or something. Basically, a tradesman or something. He's in the council, but basically, he's there, and he is speaking to these artisans, who he's going to have them all sort of like do a painted depiction of the king before he dies, because I suppose essentially they realize that he's close to death, which we've known the whole series that like he was not well health wise. And at that point, one of the artisans is actually Elendil's daughter. I believe it's pronounced Irier. Now, I could be wrong. I apologize, folks. Those of you that are Lord of the Rings faithful and whatnot, if I butchered that, I apologize. I'll try better next time. But, it's Earear. So I don't really know. I did my best. Tough pronounceable. But either way, and at that point, as we move on, basically, essentially, the king wakes up momentarily, not in like a lucid state. He kind of wakes up in like sort of a out of it state, and starts talking to Elendil's daughter as she's doing her painting, believing she's Miriel, and warning her, essentially that Numenor needs to go back to their history and their ways, their roots, right? To, I guess, save it, or to bring it to for it to be more prosperous, or for it to not die, or whatever. And at that point, as the girl Irier goes to get help for him, because he kind of like nods off, and she's concerned about him. When she comes back, he's up. The king, he's actually up. He's walking around, and he beckons her to the same staircase at the same door that Miriel and Galadriel went up when they went and saw the cloaked seeing stone from Sauron, right? That connects essentially to the history in the past connection and I guess partnership almost with Numenor and Morgoth, right? And Sauron and the dark forces. So I don't know for sure, and I'm going to ask Cyber and June here in a second. But I want to believe that essentially what the king was warning her about was that they essentially needed to go back to the partnership with the dark forces, with Sauron. Because he himself, even in his health state, could almost tell that something was coming, that there's something coming, going on, that the emergence of Sauron is coming, right? And I think he was basically his warning, essentially, and I could be wrong, maybe I got the wrong idea, was that if we're going to save Numenor, we've got to align with them, right? We don't want to fight them, Now, what do you think, June? Was that kind of the direction you got with the king was saying and whatnot, and everything, the warning and everything and whatnot? And obviously his desire to then beckon her, Irier to go up the stairs and go see. Is it a seeing stone? What do you call those?
It's called Palantir.
Palantir.
Yes.
Obviously at that point, right? Would you say that it's clear that he was trying to basically tell her
the least interesting storyline to me? So I didn't want to pay attention to it enough for me to actually draw a conclusion from it. So I'm gonna have to just pass on that one. Yeah, I'm frankly not really concerned with what it's about. I know what it leads to, but it's not something that I'm really, really that intrigued by.
I got you.
I think it's just an overused trope, the idea of a dying character that, someone is someone else and then saying something. So I'm just not a fan of the way that it was. They were just switch spots.
What the fuck is going on here, man? I blame She-Hulk.
But anywho, that's my 2 cents. Yeah.
I have no idea what the hell's going on. I'm telling you, this must be elvish magic or something, maybe, or Sauron. I don't even know. It's possible. Dodger, did you do something? No, you never know, folks. Who knows? Strange things happen over here in the Bleeding Edge. You never know what could be going on. Supernatural forces. You're muted.
It's called the internet, and that's what it does.
Oh, good point. Good point. All right, you know what then? I can't blame She-Hulk for that one, folks. I got to take that one back, She-Hulk. Sorry, She-Hulk. Apologize. But no, Cyber, what did you think? I guess what did you personally get out of that? I mean, that scene with the king, and that whole thing. What was your take?
In all honesty, I thought it was kind of just a scene that they put in there. I didn't feel it really served any purpose really at all. And I thought they were trying to kind of pull in from previous films, things that were similar to that, and trying to put something in there to kind of keep it within the realms of, still giving you some of the information about that king, about that kingdom and so forth. And it was just very short, very small. And I don't think it really added really much to the finale. And I totally think they could have gotten away with adding that to another episode in the next season. I don't think it was really necessary for the end, because really it did that sequence and then it did not go back to that whole story at all by the time they ended this episode. So I think it was kind of a useless sequence in this episode.
That's a great point. I didn't think about it like that. You're right. I think you're totally right. I would agree with 100%. I don't know. How
it definitely seemed contrived. I agree with
yeah,
Cyber.
Yeah. You're right, Cyber. They would have been much better off saving that. That it did not connect to anything else in the entire episode. So literally nothing else. So the fact that they that's all they dropped. I don't know. I guess maybe if it had been done differently, right? If in some way more impactful, or there'd been more substance to it, maybe something more epic, or I don't know, whatever. At that point, maybe it could have worked. But it was almost filler, right? It was like filler in a way. Why? Almost. It didn't need to happen. Almost. I would have rather seen more of the stranger. Honestly, you know what I mean, or the witches, or whatever the hell you want to call them. They're pretty cool. I like those. And again, I apologize. We do actually, right off the bat in the beginning of the episode, also see the witches still looking for the stranger. And of course, we're going to get into that whole deal here soon. But basically, now as we move on, there's a discussion between the elves and Gil-galad's there. And essentially what they end up talking about and discussing, is the fact that due to Halbrand's help, they now feel like they have a solution to the issue and whatnot. They kind of, Calimbor has a different idea where he wants to go with things, how he can save the elves, how they don't have to leave Middle Earth, basically at this point suggests that he's going to basically forge a crown, I believe he said, a crown, and it's basically just like telling and persuading Gil-galad and telling him, I can do this, like this is going to work. And Gil-galad is like, hey, we got more time, right? It's it. It's that simple. We already don't have any time. Like we already didn't have any time to begin with. Now we have no time. Like, I'm saying like our days here in the Middle Earth are dwindling very quickly. And I'm actually starting to get the gist now that maybe I could have been wrong about Gil-galad in terms of his actual intentions, that he may not actually be like, manipulating anything or have any desire for anything negative for anybody really overall. But maybe this issue with the mithril really is some legit shit, and like he genuinely just wants to take care of the elves and his people. And he basically just tells them like, give up, it's over. We're leaving. So now Halbrand is, again, he's just like, he's right at it. He's killing it. He's helping with the construction and the forging of Celimbor's, now not device, but I guess like, whatever you want, crown or, whatever concept he's trying to come up with, in this bonding process. And now again, I mean, it heavily implying more and more as we're going here that like Halbrand wants to be here. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying, like he seems almost invigorated by like the whole thing. He's more into it than the elves are. Like this is the shit they need to like survive, and he's like more enthusiastic about it and has all the answers for it, right? Like I'm saying, like it's just interesting just because it's the disparity of his character in this finale during some of these scenes compared to how he's been in the rest of the series was very clear to me and distinct in terms of his disposition, his facial expressions, his positivity level. He hasn't been like that throughout the series. He's been up and down, morbid, defensive, right? At certain points. So, which I like the fact that they did it like that. I do. I think that's good. I found it positive to see in a way that they displayed him in that way to display to the audience. Hey, look at this difference in him. He's like infused with energy now. The last time we checked, at no point in the series has he declared that the elves are like the most important thing in the world. That it's all he cares about and everything and whatnot. But all of a sudden he does. June. In terms of the discussion between the elves, Gil-galad, his thoughts, your impression of him in the conversation, the things he has to say, his decision making as far as them needing to leave, not having faith, I guess, in this, bonding process being the solution for them, possibly. And then, as far as, Halbrand, again, jumping right in, he's helping with the whole process and everything and whatnot. He's fine. What'd you think?
I think my issue with Gil-galad is I don't know if the problem is with the actor, but I have a very different idea of what kind of character Gil-galad is supposed to be. And the actor who's portraying him just constantly portrays him as this sort of helpless, pessimistic person, whereas I always imagine Gil-galad, at least later on in mythology, is a hero, is a figure of great valor and kind of optimism for the elves. So I think that character can become dragging sometimes, just because it's kind of like, what is it going to take to make you have hope? He's pragmatic enough to understand that yeah, we need a solution. We need it fast. But, there's no sense of this idea of like, yes, we will be able to get it. So I think that's what my impression of that whole thing was just, I want to like this character more than I do.
That would be Benjamin Walker that plays Gil-galad.
As fine actor, he portrays him fine. It's just the style in which he portrays him is my issue.
And now, just to be clear, Gil-galad is actually a character that is mentioned in The Lord of the Rings, in the book, in a poem called "The Fall of Gil-galad." And apparently, Walker has said in interviews that the series was going to expand on that. And that he highlighted the character's odd gift of foresight. He's prescient and he's ahead of the curve. He can kind of feel the pulse of evil rising. Okay, that's interesting. That's the actor himself, talking about Gil-galad. But Cyber, what did you think?
All right. So, refresh my memory on the question. I'm sorry.
The discussion that's had amongst the elves in terms of the fate of them, what they need to do. Calimbor, explaining to Gil-galad, and Elrond explaining to Gil-galad that they have a solution now, right? That they know what they're going to do, how they can save the the elves and whatnot. They don't have to leave Middle Earth. And then mentioning kind of like off topic that Halbrand was the one that told him about this bonding process, right? Which Gil-galad is like suspicious of immediately. He's like, fuck Halbrand. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously? That douchebag? Like, dude walked up from freaking like a mortal wound and he was like, the best thing to slice bread afterwards in 5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. But no, Gil-galad did not say that, unfortunately. He would say it much more better. He would articulate it much more well.
You wanted him to say that, didn't you? Yeah. You wanted to say that.
There's many things. Go ahead.
Anyways, to answer your question, sir, that sequence was, I thought, very subtle. I thought that there was a lot of like kind of the same, info I feel that you get from an elf whenever they have kind of like a serious conversation. Like I've said before, like I've mentioned before, elves, they're very high-minded, they're very bright, they're very intelligent, they've been around for many, many centuries. They're very old. So they have seen a lot of stuff. And so their intelligence is very high-minded. But also at the same time, they're very arrogant. So Gil-galad, or however you say his name, what is it?
Gil-galad, you had it.
Gil-galad, okay. Him being, that kind of the head elf kind of character, and he's been around for so long, it wasn't surprising that was kind of his thoughts on Halbrand and kind of on what was going on there. He already had his mind set when the first thing didn't work and they tried to do something else. He already had in his mind, that this is it. There's nothing we can do. We just have to deal with our fate, because that's how kind of minded elves usually are. So the whole interaction there was very much what I thought would have happened between the elves, between him, between Elrond, and anybody else that was in the sequence. And I definitely thought that it was totally understandable why Gilgamesh thought those things. And at the same time, I also thought that he could have taken the time to listen to Elrond a little bit more too at the same time. But I thought that was very necessary to kind of move the story on for this episode to get to, them kind of explaining, about him going from the crown to the rings, smaller items that I forged and stuff like that. So I think that it was a very, very good scene. And I really enjoyed everyone that was in the scene, and I thought they all did a really good job in giving us a really good kind of elvish conclusion there.
What did you? Well, actually, really quick, thank you very much, Corey Castle. Can't get enough. Brings a power discussion. Different takes are by far the best thing about the show. Most definitely. We appreciate you, Corey. Thank you very much for the comment. Couldn't agree with you more. Well said. Cyber, what did you also think of? Again, Halbrand, jumping right into the process, right, to help out, right, with the forging of this hormone, right, or this bonding process immediately, invigorated and everything, right? Like he's like instrumental in the process, What's your take on that? And honestly, I never really thought about this before, but it just occurs to me that it's surprising to me that the elves would even not be suspicious at all of a man, of a man helping them like that. It's weird in a way. When you think about it, that they would even be comfortable incorporating a man, from the race of men into this process, right? What do you think about that?
So, like I mentioned earlier, that mystery of who Halbrand is, what his intentions were, is still there. And so when he jumped right in, that again set those alarms off. And, you're like, ooh, there's something devious about this person. And that was my first thoughts. That's my whole thoughts throughout the whole episode until finally, he, virtually says who he is. And I thought it was like weird that you just would throw yourself into this, especially because you're a human. And because, because the elves are very high-minded and high on themselves, they wouldn't really take information from a human anyways, because they're too smart and they think they're better than humans. So they really wouldn't take that into consideration anyways. So that would be kind of, I feel, a situation there where, that's another reason why Gil-galad would, say the things he said too as well, because of, thinking he's a human. And we don't really know exactly 100% that, Sauron is human at all. We don't know that, because even though he looks like a human, he could be something completely else. But at the same time, he could have been a human thousands and centuries ago, maybe. But at this point, though, because we know he's Sauron, we know that he's not just a normal human. So at that point, they don't realize that, though, the elves, but they think he's just probably a human. So I think that kind of probably irked the higher up elves in their hierarchy, most definitely. And that's probably another reason why Gil-galad was the way he was. But definitely, throwing yourself in like that when you're just this normal person off the street, getting assistance from them in something that they've been working on for, months, years, or whatever. And then what you're saying exactly is what needs to be done and is working. You're kind of like, that's throwing up red flags going, this is kind of weird. This shouldn't be happening. Why does this human know this stuff? So it all encompasses each other and complements itself in the same ways.
Okay. Drew, did you think it was a little weird at all that aspect? I mean, again, I'm not trying to tear the finale down at all. I'm just fleshing it out and whatnot. I'm just wondering, do you think it was maybe just too easy? Like it didn't necessarily it wasn't accurate really to what we already know about the Lord of the Rings for them to just embrace and allow.
It felt a lot kind of, I should have been a bigger deal than it was. I always thought about the Forging of the Rings as being this mythical event, and then it's almost rather mundane the way it kind of happens, but it's not my biggest peeve. I thought it was fine. It got the point across.
I mean, wouldn't you, of all elves, wouldn't you think that Galadriel from Jump would be like, come on now, hey, like.
I feel like she should have been a lot more suspicious of Halbrand than she was.
There you go.
She clearly, it was implied in earlier episodes, kind of knew a little bit more about him than she was leading on. It wasn't really confirmed, but the whole exposition scene, he practically has to yell into her face that I am Sauron, essentially. That's not what he says, but it's very clearly implied. And she's still kind of just standing there with this awestruck look on her face. And, one of the things that I loved about her as a character is how proactive she is as a character, how headstrong she is. She has her own beliefs, she has her own agenda, and she's going to go for it. Whereas as the season has gone on, I feel like she's become more and more of a passive background character. And that's, it doesn't serve the character well.
Well, hey, those of you out there who actually know anything about how women actually think out there, they're not exactly, they're really, especially you young guys that are out there, think women are these like, white knight, purely ethical creatures or whatever, whatnot. I promise you they're not. at all. Just to be clear, they think the same dirty shit you do, just towards you, not them. So at that point, I think probably if anything, Galadriel was just conflicted because she was having a hard time not thinking about how big Halbrand's dick might be. You know what I mean? Or how small it could be, right? That can be hard to think. I mean, that's intense to have that dynamic going on in your head. That threw her off, that good deed. But, hey, it's all good. I mean, you got to figure Sauron's got some good-ass deed, bro. he's Sauron. But either way, you think it's possible that it's very possible that Halbrand is actually from the She-Hulk series, right? Like that's what he transferred over. You know what I mean? And he's now in the Rings of Power, right? Maybe that and before I knew he was Sauron, I thought maybe that's what he was. He was one of the clouds from She-Hulk, but I don't know. Anyways, Booze and Chill. Oh my God, a super sticker? What the fuck is that, man? Is that actual money? Like tangible currency? Jesus. Hey, Raymond, come on now. You're too kind, brother. Jesus. We don't need all that. We're not exactly killing it over here financially these days at the Bleeding Edge, but at the same time, we're not on the streets. So, but thank you, brother. We appreciate that. It's nice to experience a super sticker for the first time in my life. I didn't know what the hell it was. Never heard of it. Sounds great, man.
You're crazy, bro. You're crazy.
It's humbling, man. I'm telling you, new shit, big shit going on here. We got Booze and Chill dropping super stickers on us. Something else.
You think, you pretty much run the, Facebook page. You think you would know what a super sticker is?
Hey, I assume I had a basic idea, but no. But
yeah, you did.
Hey, you know what? Honestly, you got to give Raymond.
You thought it was something sexual, didn't you?
No, I want to honestly point out and give Raymond credit. Raymond, you doing that right there may actually start a trend where other people may think to themselves, "Wow, maybe I should try that." Holy shit! What that could do for us in the future, Cyber? That could be really beneficial. Hey, it could be positive. More of those super stickers could be really good for us. Or bad.
Yes,
hey, or if you hate capitalism, it could be bad. I don't know. It just depends, right? There you go. But I don't hate capitalism, so
true.
There you go.
True.
Yeah, it's not a left and right thing, baby. It's just capitalism. Back to Corey Castle. Lore people were onto him a long time ago. Back to Numenor. At least this was probably Sauron. Yeah, of course. Oh, without question. I have no doubt that people like June and other massive like Lord of the Rings fans and whatnot, probably right from like episode 2 or 3, probably were like, "Yo, that's Sauron," right? Immediately, probably knew. And that's the cool part. That's the cool thing about having that knowledge and having that enthusiasm, in the fandom or whatever about the source material, which I respect. Thank you very much, Raymond, for pointing that out, that it's money. I didn't know, man. Yeah, I understand. As a Tuscan translator, I only get paid with scraps of cloth, right? So, it's tough, so at that point, this whole money thing is a different thing for me. It's new concept. But anyways, so basically, coming off, this process of the bonding necessary to create more of what's necessary to keep the elves alive and in the Middle Earth, we then get into the witches, which we now know well, I'm calling them the witches. I'm just basically mentioning that because we know they are all female at this point. At least I do. They find the stranger, and hey, and they're very convincing in the fact that he's Sauron. Like, yo, straight up, you are Sauron. Like that's who you are. That's what's up. And start explaining to him like why and where he's been and all this stuff. And now the Hardfoots have been tracking, this whole progression and whatnot, and the witches, the stranger. And it's not even just Nori and Poppy. It's actually like several of the Hardfoots. They seem to all be like concerned about the stranger. So they're there. They're watching what's going down. And the witches pick up on that and sense that they're being watched. We get sort of like, I wouldn't say like a battle or anything and whatnot, but sort of like a conflict, some conflict and whatnot, where Sarek is pierced by what I imagine is a blade of Mordor form, coming from the dark forces, which you all know, right, to some extent always have something going on with them where it's not just getting pierced by a blade. It's usually something bad. You know, it affects something into you. You know what I mean? Or, you know, it's almost like poison. And essentially, they're about to kill Nori until the stranger, you know, of course, because he's been so affected by being told 77,000 times that he's good, of course, you know, basically, you know, pops up and unleashes his powers, you know, and stops the witches. And for a while, we get like sort of a, I guess, a one-on-one with the stranger and one of the witches, which I believe is like the most powerful one, the one that has the fire power abilities. They go back and forth and whatnot and are battling, kind of like, you know, 50-50, before the stranger finally sort of like gets his shit together, right? And handles his business with them, right? You know? And now at that point, of course, we experienced the prophetic, you know, scene of, you know, Nori making it clear to him that he's good. It doesn't matter what those bitches said. You know what I'm saying? All he needs to hear is he's good. You know, I'm just joking, folks. I love Nori. Nori's awesome. And her name is Eleanor. And I love the name Eleanor. I do. I think it's great. It's a classic, old-fashioned woman's name, and I love it. I do. It's a great name. But I didn't even realize that until just now, that's her name, Eleanor. It never even occurred to me that Nori was a short. So, you know, the stranger saves Nori's life. Of course, you know, the stranger and Nori are tight. They're like best buds. You know, the one witch there, you know, with her fire powers is blasting fire all over the place and whatnot and everything, you know, and after the stranger, after Nori gives the stranger his staff and tells him he's good, and the stranger kind of kicks it into gear, the stranger now knows he's not Sauron, right? He knows suddenly. It comes to him. And I believe that the staff actually, and I could be wrong, but I believe it actually like morphs in a way, like, you know, and changes, you know, in I guess in terms of shape or the way it looks, or maybe even like power. And at that point, says profoundly, "I'm good," right? Awesome. And basically, like freaking, you know, disintegrates the witches. I think essentially just like totally dissipates them into nothing. And now, unfortunately, though, he does not actually like decide to like help us out or whatnot and be like, "I'm also this. Like, this is my name." We don't get that, unfortunately, from the stranger. So he is still the stranger, you know, which is very dehumanizing if you think about it. It's gotta be rough to be just called the stranger all the time. I'd be depressed. I would. You know, it's gotta be rough, man. To have no name, you know, it's hard. Or it's not. You never know. The stranger's also kind of intense, so not kind of dark. So maybe he likes it. I don't know. Could work with the ladies. But so what do you think, June? Did you what were your thoughts on that whole scene? I mean, obviously it's big. It's a big scene. It's long. And it clearly it's pointing us into a direction of finally, you know, starting to unravel who the hell the stranger is, which is helpful and good to see, enjoyable. And at the same time, we get to see more of the forces of darkness, more of the forces of Mordor, which I like and enjoy. I would like to see more of them, to be honest with you. More agents, you know, more different creatures, right?
Oh yeah, I would love to see that. But I feel like a lot of times when they're talking about the Dark Lord in Lord of the Rings, we get Sauron, we get the imagery of the Balrogs, but we don't really see the other kind of servants of Sauron. And those are, once in a while you'll see something like the Mouth of Sauron, and those kinds of creatures always fascinate me. So I would love to see more stuff like those witches. I think the witches' design was really cool. Their pyromancy was really well designed. So I would love to see more of that.
All right, look, Corey Castle, listen, you guys have stop with this super sticker stuff, all right? This is too much. We can't be having this, okay? I can't handle it.
Yes, we can.
It's too much. We don't deserve it. We're not.
Yes, we do.
We're not that good. So
Yeah, we are.
I'm just kidding. No, thank you very much, Corey. You know what I'm saying? We're just very humbled over here at the Bleeding Edge, believe it or not. I know that's
Are you? Are
know-
you?
I know it's not possible to be humbled these days anymore, but we actually are. We actually are very humbled. So we genuinely appreciate you. And we value the hell out of your comments and appreciate you joining us and whatnot and everything. Thank you for participating. No way was a stranger ever going to be Sauron. Like what? The Valar decided to shoot Sauron back to Middle Earth in a meteor. Never was him, never. Yeah, that's basically what we were saying earlier, Corey. None of it made any sense. I mean, why the hell would Sauron not know who the hell he is? Unless like, I don't know, maybe he tripped acid or something, you never know. But either way, thank you though for the geez, two super stickers, man. This is intense, man. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna be on TikTok after the show shouting this shit out. Yo, 2 super stickers tonight, baby. We're killing it.
As you can see, folks out there, that Jeff is very excitable when he gets super stickers, as you can see here. Super stickers are very generous. We want to thank everybody for it, but don't mind him. He's just a little excitable.
Yes. I look, as Cyber is very aware of, I'm just blown away sometimes just at how wonderful all the people are and whatnot that support us and whatnot. And I genuinely am just unbelievable, like just blown away at times by I am. I know it's, might seem crazy with all the shit I talk, but at one point my only goal was to start a YouTube channel. That's all I wanted. So, it involved this. So, hey, I feel like a very, very special and blessed and lucky man. I do. To have the wonderful friends that I have and the co-hosts I have and people like June, in my life. It's wonderful. And now super stickers too. Holy fuck, man. I'm telling you. It's like, I feel like the king of the world. Now if I could just have that fucking foursome with Jean Grey, Storm, and Rogue from the X-Men, I'd be set. Right? But hey, I'm working on it. You never know. I'm trying. I'm working on it. And I want the animated version too. I don't want the real life version, the animated version.
From the 90s show?
Yep. Gotta have them. Yep. I want to fuck animated chicks. I want to know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? I've done all the normal shit. I need some different shit. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta keep it real. You don't even want to know what's on my bucket list, man. It's crazy. Either way, part of it is I'm good. I have that written down on there. I'm good to remind myself. Just like Nori, baby. But no. So unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I guess. The stranger does know that he's not Sauron. He wields his staff, which now essentially looks, I guess, just more intense looking. Like it's more well done, like more powerful. Has like a crest on it almost, I think, with like sort of like a jewel in the middle, kind of. And basically, really, he doesn't know. He doesn't exactly know who he is yet, I guess, but he's come to grips and now knows how to use his powers. He can focus them efficiently. He's not just like, wielding them, impulsively or all over the place. And of course, also at the same time, he suddenly becomes more attractive too. And he's not dirty anymore suddenly, which is amazing. I mean, I didn't see him have a bath, but he's suddenly clean. So I guess that happens too, along with like the whole deal. But either way, what did you think, Cyber, in terms of the stranger, with the whole, with the Hardfoots and Nori, and all that and whatnot, and the witches? What was your take?
So that whole sequence was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I thought those witch characters were interesting, whatever underlings they are of Sauron. And I definitely think that they were pretty like badass too. Like they were kicking some butt. Like they knew their magic and stuff like that. That one was able to change herself like a chameleon almost, or like a shapeshifter, which was really cool. And I really enjoyed how they presented it, where like they, basically are trying to start, tell him to help him remember that he's Sauron. And but unfortunately, you end up finding out, you're kind of confused because that's what it kind of did to me at first when we first were introduced to those witches at the very beginning, and they were calling him Sauron, and I was like, oh, I thought he was supposed to be Gandalf. I thought the other guy was supposed to be Sauron, and so I was kind of confused there. And then after this sequence happened and everything, and basically gets to they're like, oh, he's the other one. I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense now. Now I'm not as confused. And so I thought that how they had him kind of break free and disintegrate them and fight them and all that kind of stuff was really well choreographed and really well done. And overall, I just thought it was a really fantastic sequence that was really entertaining. And I mean, not to mention those girls were very attractive too that played those witches. So that was a plus.
Definitely. Most definitely. That's always positive. Last time although you know what? I mean, I like ugly chicks too, though. So, I mean, they've got their positives too. Let's be fair here, okay? We like equality here. Ugly chicks matter, all right? What matters is it only matters what's inside of you. As long as it's my penis. There you go. Anyways, that was a good one, folks. I can't even lie. I'm even impressed with that. That was fucking great. But whatever. Either way, don't forget I said that, folks. I never said that. I would never say it like that. But June, what did you think of the staff?
I thought it was cool. That's about it.
Did by any chance was there anything about it or whatnot? That you noticed or whatever that maybe connects to something more Lord of the Rings ish?
Not off the top of my head. Bear in mind, I did take NyQuil before we started this, so I'm tapering off a little bit, so I'm not as sharp as I was early in the episode. But no, not that I could think of.
Corey, you know what? You're funny. I'm telling you right now. You just assumed Slim Lady and D12 Naz girls were gender or whatever. We would never do that, Corey. Okay. Look, we are very PC over here at the Bleeding Edge, as everyone knows. We are the most PC out there and whatnot. We're all about it, and we're also hardcore leftists. And Black Lives Matter supporters to the core. So all that, and at that point, we would never, ever assume anybody's gender ever. I actually address Cyber as it, right? Whenever I talk about his gender, since there is no such thing as male or female, right? But no, no, I actually, it's funny, Corey, that you said that because I actually legit in my outline when I was watching the show, I actually legit in the scene where Galadriel asks Halbrand who the fuck he really is, I was like, Halbrand responds, that's transphobic to ask my name for that. I find that transphobic. That would have been great if he would have said that in the episode. I would have loved it. So there you go, Corey. That's my connection right there. That's what I thought. That's the kind of shit I think to myself while I'm watching shows. That's my creative process, baby. Anyways, either way, so of course, in an extremely impactful, scene where I cried my eyes out inside and out and everything. Sarek dies, because he was so impactful in the series, right? It blew me away. But no, it is sad, of course, to see anybody die. And Sarek dies, but he's very happy about it. He seems thrilled. He's actually more positive about it than he was alive, in a way. No, Sarek dies. And just to go back to my outline there, Corey, what I said about that, my words was, "But who cares? Who cares anyways?" But because he's going to bang his missus in heaven. That's what I wrote. There you go, Corey, to give you an idea of my creative process again. Yes, he's very happy. He says, "You know what? I'll see the missus." Which was very nice, very powerful and cute and personal. And wants to see the sun one more time. And he actually does. And this is actually very poignant. I'm not messing around. And very effective in terms of, again, the whole inflection and dynamic of the sun and light versus darkness. That is a constant dynamic that they inject into the series here and there to, again, just sort of connect off of the differences between the good and evil, the dark forces versus the light forces. So I thought it was actually very interesting and very connected to the series overall and to the Lord of the Rings source material. That's how he wanted to die, was, you know, seeing the sun. And he does pass right at that moment while he's watching the sun come up. And that was actually very, very, very positive. I enjoyed that. Okay, June, no problem, brother. Sorry about that, folks. I'm glad you're okay, June. You scared me there for a minute, man. So I appreciate you jumping in that private chat real quick. Sorry about that, folks. June actually has a private meeting with Sauron real quick. And he's too busy focusing on the Middle Earth right now to do the bleeding edge. That's okay. But no, thanks, June. We appreciate you, man. You're a great guy. But no, so Cyber. Overall, you know, what do you think? So, you know, does Sarich death do anything for you? I mean, he does have one sort of impactful moment where during that sort of like skirmish, he does stab one of the witches on the foot or whatever and whatnot, which does actually end up helping, you know, the stranger, you know what I mean, and whatnot, you know, turn the tide in a way. So he was impactful in like the conflict himself too. He didn't just get pierced. He also, like, you know, threw it, fought back. So I want to give him Sarek, you know, his due. But you know, what did you think of the Sarek death overall? And then also, you know, again, you know, any thoughts, any reflections, any thoughts on where we're at with the stranger, the staff, him disintegrating those witches like that and whatnot?
Well, Sarah's death, it wasn't very impactful. I mean, I thought I was kind of sad that they decided to kill him off. And I definitely, you know, thought, oh, we could have gotten through, you know, maybe not killing another person and, you know, end this season. But at the same time, I was like, you know, I mean, yeah, he wasn't very important, I felt, to the, you know, Hartfoot's clan or anything like that. He still was an interesting character. He had a few good scenes. But overall, I don't think it was anything impactful or anything like that. I thought it was a nice little send up how they did that with him. But the staff that, you know, once, you know, the stranger grabs the staff and stuff, it looks very similar to the Eye of Sauron when he's using it. And it totally looks like it would be a staff that Sauron had. So, you know, that whole thing, like, you know, throughout the original film series, you know, Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King, that the eye on the top of the tower there looks exactly like what that top of that staff was. And so it was kind of interesting how they had it when the stranger uses it, that top little eye area, like blows up basically and lights like an eye almost, if you pay attention to it very closely. So I thought that was kind of an interesting nod to who Sauron is, or a nod to Sauron's future as well. So I thought the staff was pretty cool. It was kind of interesting that it just all of a sudden decided to disintegrate after he used it. But at the same time, I kind of get the reason why it did that. But yeah, overall, I thought that was really cool and fun.
Do you still think that he is Radagast?
I don't know. I still having a hard time believing it's Gandalf. But at the same time, it could, you know, he refers to himself as a wizard at the end, but at the same time, he could be any wizard. So it'll be interesting to see just exactly where they go with it. I know they have mentioned that they say he's Gandalf, but I'm still on the fence with who he is.
Gotta be Gandalf. I mean, Corey, I'm assuming that's you're basically saying here, right? That's Gandalf. I mean, you probably would know. We've already talked about this. I've seen the articles and whatnot and everything out there that have already flat out said this has to be Gandalf. But again, unless I'm missing something, unless I didn't see like an end credit scene or something or whatever that I missed or some shit, I never heard anybody I never heard him say I'm Gandalf or anybody. It never happened. Which did surprise me, to be honest with you. I did figure in the finale that they would go ahead and not just only reveal Sauron, but flush out at least the stranger's name and identity, right? But hey, you know what? Maybe it's positive to let it slip or wait until season 2. It builds suspense, right? So But then again, at the same time, too, I can see how for some fans maybe it's frustrating. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, I like it. I'm okay with him just being the stranger. I don't need to know who the hell he is. But at some point, I need to know, though. I do. It would be nice. But either way, were you impacted? Did the Serge death at least do anything for you? Did you find it positive? I mean, was it enjoyable or?
I wouldn't say it was enjoyable. I like I said, it was not impactful at all to me. It didn't move me. It didn't anything like that because, like I've mentioned before, his character was very small in the whole scheme of the series so far. And so I think killing him off was kind of just like they were trying to show basically some heartache on all sides, for humans, for hobbits, for, all these different, clans and so forth. So I think it was just kind of like, let's throw this death in here just to kind of get the, tier works going. And I didn't feel anything for it. I thought it didn't mean anything.
What do you think, Cyber, bouncing off of Corey in the comment section, sort of like, mentioning, and then me too, connecting, the fact that like the Harfoot stuff kind of maybe it's not so impactful, right? Or maybe like really it's not really a highlight of anything with any, and for me, in really any of the episodes in a way. I was joking about why the Harfoots even in the series and whatnot. I have no problem with it. With them doing that, I'm assuming they did it. Essentially, for the most part, they're there just to connect to Lord of the Rings, overall. Because if I understand, in terms of like the Silmarillion and whatnot and everything, and like the source material, the Hobbits have nothing to do with it, right? Like they're not even a part of this, any of this stuff that I know of. But I would understand why Amazon would want them there. I get it. So at that point, I'm gonna be a negative, but I mean, do you think that the Harfoot's participation in the series, I guess you could say almost like their story or their part of the series, added anything to the series?
I think overall it was just an addition to the series to show another type of race or species or clan of people that's a part of Middle Earth. And I think if the stranger ends up being Gandalf, like you had mentioned before, and we kind of discussed, maybe this will show where Gandalf got his love for, the Hobbit species or, these types of people. And, I feel that down the line, it just was trying to show like, oh, there was these types of people, prior to the Hobbits that we are familiar with from the Lord of the Rings and from the Hobbit films, that they actually kind of, evolved from a earlier version of themselves too, or a different clan of, their type of people. So I think in all, are they very impactful? No, but overall, I think that they're just another extension of that universe to help associate with what we, for those that aren't very familiar with the lore, to keep them enticed because, oh, there are Hobbit-like people, even though they're not called Hobbits, even though they're the Harfoots and stuff like that. They're still of that same kind of type of, humanoid. And so I think that that's really what their whole purpose was for the series, is to kind of attach that to the Gandalf character, the stranger, and, leading that into further down the road when we get closer to when it's supposed to be the Lord of the Rings time.
That's honestly, Cyber, I never thought about it like that and whatnot, but that makes a lot of sense. And I like that. I like that positive spin that you put on that. I really do. I think that's a great comment, great contribution. And it makes a lot of sense. And I had it never even occurred to me that again, there are people out there that don't know about the Lord of the Rings, right? They don't. So it is helpful. It is positive, I would think, right, to have them at that point in the series, to some extent. And for me, Corey, to Corey, Odella, and any of you out there that that are more knowledgeable in terms of the lore, right, than maybe I am. For me, I don't know the catchphrases, right, from the books and whatnot and everything with Gandalf, where like you would look at that and say, oh, that's Gandalf. All I know is that from a logical standpoint, like Cyber said, This deal where like they immediately put the stranger with the hobbits with his Harfoots right from jump, right? And that his in his entire the span of the entire series, all he does is be with the Harfoots and with Nori and Poppy and all that and whatnot, right? At that point, like Cyber was saying, to me, that was the clue for me that he's Gandalf. Because I was like, you know what? At some point, Gandalf had to have found the hobbits or whatever, or the Harfoots, and built and developed the love he has for them and whatnot, and saw and grasped, right? That inner courage and ethicalness, the ethics that they have, that power, that ability to drive through anything, and that overall, the fact that in this battle between good and evil, right, that Tolkien was flushing out essentially, right, overall throughout the span of Lord of the Rings books. I mean, which is of course, sort of a, I guess, a reflection in a way of World War II, World War I, right? Democracy, the fight, democracy itself, versus tyranny, right? That type of concept, right? I feel like the hobbits, right, or the Harfoots, especially in Lord of the Rings, right, with Frodo, right, or with Bilbo and the Hobbit, they essentially almost epitomize, right, good in a way, and that's, I guess, probably in a way, that's why Nori constantly says you're good. So there you go. How about that, folks? True knowledge right there in effect. That's why we call it true knowledge, baby. That's it. You saw it.
True knowledge.
There you go. Anyways, Corey, you make several Gandalfisms comments, but technically, according to the lore, it shouldn't be him. He's quoted as saying, "To the east I go not," so it shouldn't be, but it's supposed to evoke him. I did actually know what you're talking about, Corey. I do. I read about that. The Horrorfoots added levity. That's a good point. They did. That wasn't present in other storylines. They offered a nice change of moods oftentimes. I appreciated that. That is true. And not only that, hey, what's up, Tex? How you doing? Good to see you. Long time no see. Good thing you're not dead. You're still not dead. I'm glad. When you become not dead anymore, we probably won't see you anymore. So that would be negative for me. But you know what? Even if you are dead, I spent the super sticker. Either way, from the grave. But anyways, no. But thank you, Tex. And you're right. I was thinking to myself, honestly too, that even though the Rings of Power series is family orientated, right? It's all inclusive audience wise. I felt like the Harfoots did bring an element to the series, if anything, that was lighthearted, right? It maybe more family orientated or more something to like draw in children or like younger people in a way, maybe. All right, something like that, right? And you're right, they definitely did bring levity, and you're right, it did bring a nice change. They were a nice contrast to pretty much everything else that we got in terms of the other dynamics, the other relationships, and the other characters and races. So you're right. Good comment. Delia, he says, when in doubt, always follow your nose, which I think is the exact copy of what Gandalf says in Lord of the Rings. You're right. It is, I believe, too. You're right. Not expert, but I think you're right. I thought that was them sort of confirming he is Gandalf. Yeah, I think so, too. But we never know, right? I mean, we'll have to see. But, I mean, I think he's Gandalf. I do. If I had to bet money on it, I'd say that that's Gandalf. Just younger version of Gandalf. So, although I'll tell you what, if that's Gandalf, he really aged a lot between holy shit, between this time to like Lord of the Rings. I don't know what happened, man. Maybe he watched the Shield series like too many times or something, and it took a toll on him. The age you. But no, so Muriel, we go to Muriel, who's on Elendil's ship. She's blind now. She's learning how to count steps and, learning how to walk and use objects and whatnot and everything to find her way and walk around. And Elendil pops up. He's as stoic as ever, and basically always positive and says he's got her back and everything and whatnot. And Muriel kind of like bounces off of him and is like, are you okay? You know, like, I mean, you got my back, all right, you got me, but what about you? Who's got you? You know, like, look what the hell just happened to us in the Middle Earth, right? We got our asses kicked. You know what I mean? And basically, they reach Numenor, and essentially from jump, know that the king is dead, or at least Elendel does. Mithril, I don't think can tell at that point, but Elendel can tell that the king is dead. They do then at that point. Did they ring bells at one point or something, Cyber?
I don't recall bells. No.
No. But I mean, but they know there's a sign there that, like, there's something where they know the king is dead. There's sort of a kind of a sad moment, a silent moment, and it legitimately transitions right into the king being dead. Right? He's in bed. He's dead. And we don't know at that point necessarily what evolved or what occurred, right? With Enor, and what she ended up doing with the stone, that allows the communication or contact with Sauron or the Dark Lord, and Cyber, you tell me or anybody in the comment section, the person sitting next to the king when he's dead, I could not tell who that was. Was that the girl? Was that Elendil's daughter? Ear or whatever, whatnot, or everything? Was that Muriel?
I don't remember that.
There was somebody sitting right next to him. I was wondering myself. Like, I was thinking about it, like, later on, wondering who the hell that was. I'm like, maybe that was impactful, right? Like, maybe that, maybe that had some sort of, clue of something, right? Or some kind of sign of something impending. Okay, yes, thank you, Tex. That was Isildur's sister. Okay, great. Which, I mean, I don't know. Okay, thank you very much, also, Tex. There was the black flags that signaled the actual death of the king. But no, I'm assuming, I got to assume that that she used the stone, right? She did. I don't know how that works. I don't know. With Sauron not being in Mordor, I don't know if you can communicate with him like that or whatever. I don't know. But I'm assuming that basically this is leading to a reconnection, right, of some sort in a way, of Numenor with the dark forces of some kind, right? Which will be interesting to see in season 2. Yeah, no, most definitely, Tess. We talked about that earlier, that she was essentially first off as an artisan. She was painting that picture of him. But so essentially, I guess, get right there, essentially. Let's see. I'm tripping for a minute. Oh, okay. We go right from there. We jump back to Galadriel dropping in after this like explosion almost with Elrond and Calimbor, again, doing their bonding process, still doing this experimentation. They're having a difficult time. They're sort of at an impasse, and they're kind of failing at this process. And essentially, trying to figure out what or how to find an alloy or use an alloy to bond with mithril. It's becoming like a serious, issue. It's not as simple as like, Halbrand made it sound. Now, of course, I do believe, I'm trying to think, was it, you tell me, Cyber, was it Halbrand again that popped in and told them, like how to go about it? Or no, you know what it was? I think it actually was Elrond, wasn't it? Who said we're going about this the wrong way? Or it was Galadriel?
I'm trying to envision that sequence there. I believe no, I think it was Halbrand. Yeah, he came back in. I think all three of them popped in there and we're all kind of talking at the same time. And we're all suggesting that that's not how it works. And then Hilbrand made the suggestion of doing it this way. And that's what they did.
Yeah, yes. And then Calimbor is like, oh geez, so basically we were doing things the opposite way, like the wrong way. We need to do it the other way. Like, that's all. Like our process or whatever, whatnot was faulty. It was Halbrand. Thank you, Tex. Corey says Spock's father, Sarek, gives Galadriel the lineage scroll, proving Halbrand is the rightful king of the Southlands. Yes, that does occur. And now I believe that actually we saw that happen. I think back in like episode 5. I think it was, or 4. I can't remember exactly which episode it was. The lineage scroll. But yeah, she's known for a minute that Halbrand was not Halbrand, and he at least he wasn't. Not that he wasn't Halbrand, that he was not the rightful king of the Southlands. She's known that, but has just again been confused by several things. She's very confused. She's having a hard time. She's got a lot on her plate, very stressed. It's been tough times. Just got her ass kicked over there with the volcano deal. So you can't blame her. But so from there, now that, again, Sauron has stepped in and helped out and whatnot. Essentially we get the scene where Galadriel finally says the hell with it and just goes right out there and says to him, who the hell are you? I know you ain't the king of the Southlands. Who actually are you? And I think in a way they wanted us to get an impression that she didn't want to question him because there is some kind of romantic tension there, or there's some kind of connection there, a bond or friendship of some kind. I don't know. Right. Or some sense of like gratefulness for for her helping her, in the sea and whatnot and everything, something like that. But at that point, again, Galadriel asks him, who the fuck are you? And he drops like a really solid line, right? Totally Sauronish and really cool sounding too. I loved it. Like he totally changes his whole facial complexion and everything. I think part of it was like the coloring too, with the scene. But his whole demeanor changes immediately. And he has this almost like, I guess, not evil, but almost like conniving, right? Or like almost like manipulative or arrogant. Like you should have already known. You know what I mean? Like, like shit, who you want to know my name? You know what I'm saying? And he literally says, I've had many names. I've existed since friggin' like the existence of damn reality over here. You know what I mean? Like, I've been there since then. And of course he says something more, pointed than that, but basically, at that point, when Galadriel sort of like, I guess, kind of attacks him or tries to like, kill him or whatever, Sauron uses his abilities and his powers to entrance Galadriel and puts her into like a dream state almost where her brother's now alive again. She speaks to their brother and whatnot and everything, and sort of, it's touching in a way, you know what I mean? She loves her brother. She misses him. He's a big reason why, she's driven the way she is towards, seeking Sauron, fighting the dark forces. And at that point, as we kind of, go through these sort of like visions that Galadriel experiences, she awakens on her own, almost like internally, like, realizes something's not right and is able to sort of like force herself out of the visions, awakens. Sauron's not there anymore, and Elrond is there and sort of is like, Elrond, are you real? Are you actually Elrond? Like, who the hell are you? And Elrond confirms to her he's Elrond and whatnot. And she realizes now this is reality, and now, so at that point, clearly we know who the hell Sauron is. And, also, as she comes to herself, she immediately now knows what Sauron's true intentions are here. She knows what the hell's going on. She knows that whatever the hell he's doing with, with Calimbor and all that, and Elrond is not good. So, Cyber, what were your thoughts on that whole aspect of the episode, the finale, with the revelation of who Sauron is, that the dialogue between him and Galadriel, his sort of like change in disposition immediately once it's out there that that Galadriel knows who the hell he is and knows for sure that he's not who he says he is. So there's no more point in fooling anybody anymore. Almost seems like he kind of wants to tell her. It's like, if anything, and also, the Muriel, Elendil, coming in to Numenor with the king being dead, all that. What were your thoughts throughout that part of the series, of the episode? You know what I mean? Anything stand out to you, individually or anything like that, and whatnot? Did you catch anything?
Honestly, I that whole section of the episode was pretty just like, basic information. It was just kind of filler episode. And the king's death didn't really mean anything to me, like, because he was talked about throughout the few different episodes, but wasn't really shown very much. Like, they had a brief couple times that they showed him a little bit, but he wasn't really a big part of the series. So his death and kind of his character was kind of just like I thought, a forethought in the background and not anything that great. And then, moving on to the, basically, Galadriel, basically confronting Halbrand about, who he really is, was a really great sequence there, especially when he like mind melted her and got her to go into like a vision to see her dead brother, then back on the raft and basically explaining kind of what he's doing and like, wanting her to become his queen and all this kind of stuff. And I thought that was really well done. I thought the CGI work, the scenery, all was really done well, very well crafted and put together. And I thought that was very interesting and really good. And then when she finally snaps out of it and Elrond gets her to snap back was really cool too. I love that he popped up there and they had that kind of nice little moment there, where it's like, oh no, this is not a dream anymore. It's really Elrond there. I thought that was really cool too. Did I notice anything interesting or anything that maybe nobody else did? No, I didn't notice really anything. I thought it was all pretty basic and to the point. But overall, some great sequences there with, Galadriel. And other than that, I thought that was really fantastic.
Do you think that that Sauron still has any humanity in him, to where he actually in some way maybe does have an affection towards Galadriel at all, like a real affection in terms of like her welfare, right? Or like has an attraction towards her like in a positive way? Or do you think that it's basically boils down to he's Sauron, right? He's Galadriel, right? He sees her as like my evil queen.
Sauron is the type of person and character that he's self-absorbed in every ounce and way. And he's basically not even human. He is, he's an entity basically of, evil. And basically the devil incarnate almost. And so I don't think any of that, I think that was a manipulation. I think that was just a part of his ploy to, basically get the ultimate power that he needs. And I think that, offering her the queen role was just another part of his plan to try to, overpower all the different people in the world, all of Middle Earth. So I think that if she had agreed to it, I think that would have been the downfall, or somewhat of a downfall to the elves, and making them even more in a crazier, dire situation than they already are. So I think that it was definitely a well-conceived idea that Sauron had there, and it wasn't, I don't think he actually has any affection for her. I think he's got admiration for her because of what she's done to try to, outsmart him.
Yeah, I agree. And good point, Tex. Tex said exactly, she's his biggest threat, and he's trying to put the leash on her. Yeah, he's strategic, right? Like, Sauron's not stupid. Again, he's not dark side. Although Darkseid's not stupid either, but I'm just saying he's not consumed and driven by one simplistic goal, right? That is not what he does. He's more complex than that, right? Of course, overall, he does have one overarching goal, right? But he's more complex as a character, is my point. And again, this is a younger version of Sauron. So at that point, Sauron does age. Now, how that works with him, I have no idea, right? I don't know. He's not human. But at that point, I would have to imagine that aging process, even if you're just a entity of evil, is still something where you evolve, right? You grow, you learn, you change. At that point, it's possible that, a younger Sauron, right, may have been more like playful, like a Loki type, where like, hey, I want to be evil and like fuck shit up and like own, and bring darkness to the world. But at the same time, I want to play games with people and make fun of it and have fun with it, right? And there's a possibility with that that you might have a different version of Sauron here that's kind of like more like that, not as set in stone. Now from Corey, he's not human, never was. He's a mayor, I believe, originally the greatest of them and servant of the Smith god, Ollie. His plan was always get the rings forged. Yes, now that I had figured out. That's a really good point. Corey, he was instrumental in the whole process and everything and whatnot of actually making sure that instead of a crown, we got rings, right? So, I think to some extent, them showing some of that stuff and whatnot might have been necessary in a way, like, allowing the elves to just let him jump in and whatever and whatnot, because you want to demonstrate to maybe people in the audience what the hell's going on here in a way where they can grasp that, look at this, Sauron actually in a way was more influential in terms of the crafting of the rings themselves than the friggin' elves were, than Calimbor was. Immediately, from jump, strategically wanting them designed in a certain way towards his aims, towards his goals. And thank you very much for that, Corey. Appreciate you. I'm no longer gonna get hard or anything like that anymore. When we get super stickers and all that and flip out, I will now calm down. Okay, I will. I will try to chill. No more saying shit or whatever. So, okay, I'll calm down and try not to be too overwhelmed by it. I just hope not too much of it happens, because then it might be too much for me. I despise wealth. I do. I think it's I hate the rich people. I do. No, I'm just joking. I don't. I love money. I do. It's good. Positive. Helps you out sometimes too. But goddamn, I wish someone would tell the Tuscans about that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, man. This whole getting paid with cloth and shit, strips of cloth is not doing it for me, bro. It don't really get you very, very far. But they don't have any savings accounts for cloth. So, you know what I'm saying? So, but no, so essentially, at that point, we don't sadly get to see Galadriel naked at that point, which I was hoping was going to happen, but it doesn't happen. I did want to see her breasts and see what size they are and everything and whatnot, because they're so covered up, or at least like a bikini shot or something would have been nice, right? It certainly would have helped with the ratings, you know what I mean, for Amazon, so I don't know, that would have been positive. Hey, everyone loves tits, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the world would be better if there are more exposed breasts out there for us to have going on. As far as I'm concerned, it'd be good for things. It'd be good for society in general. But hey, don't listen to me, folks. I'm nobody over here. I don't know. Who knows? It's my opinion. I'm only true knowledge here, baby. That's it. No, but so basically, as Cyber is deep in inflection. So basically, from there,
always deep in inflection.
Yes, we get Nori and the Stranger having another one of their intense philosophical conversations, as always, right? With the highlights of the whole series, the Nori and the Stranger moments. You know, thank God, Nori, that is the stranger instead of Kevin Spacey there. I'll tell you right now, or you might be in a bad spot. You know, that would be a different kind of conversation. But either way, I do believe in redemption, so I apologize. I didn't mean anything by that. You know, Kevin Spacey, maybe you reformed. I have no idea. But you know, the Harfoots, as always, are hanging out, doing their thing. They're looking at the map, you know, trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and continuing their trek. You know, their migration. You know, that they go through at this point. You know, in the stage of the hobbits, where they're not like they don't stay in one place, right? They don't have a firm home or anything like that and whatnot. They migrate through seasons and whatnot, right? Travel. And at that point, you know, not just Nori herself on her own, but the actual rest of the Harfoots, right, are you know, sort of enforce and like tell her, hey, you need to stick with the stranger, right? Like you need to rock with the stranger. You know, he needs you. You need him. You know, like we can't leave him alone, right? The Harfoots all care about the stranger at this point. They do, right? He you know, they all kind of feel good about him. They don't worry about him. He's not scary to them. And that was cute. Actually, I did like that. I liked it. I like the aspect of Nori sticking with the stranger. I did. I thought that was really cool. I liked it. Good touch on the light side, you know. I like their relationship. I do. Even though I make fun of it, I think it's cool. I like it in a lighthearted way. Yes, folks, it's true. Even I can be lighthearted and enjoy stuff like that. I do. And, you know, so Nori, of course, at that point, you know, being kind of pressured and told this is what, you know, what she should do, you know, that it's okay for her to abandon the Harfoots, decides to go ahead and rock with, you know, with a stranger. Who the hell knows where they're going to go? You never know. We don't really know where they're going to go, but they're going to go somewhere. I have no idea. Maybe they'll go to Disney World. I don't know. We'll have to see. Could be. We'll see in season 2. Love Nori though. Love Nori, man. I still do not know. I can't remember if it was Nori or Poppy that sang the song. And I think it was episode 6 or 5. But that was a beautiful song. I loved it. I think it was Nori. Corey says, want to stretch your imagination? Was the eternal angelic being Sauron? Is that how Cyber? Is that how what Corey said that you pronounce it with like a separation? Sauron. Sauron. Okay.
Yeah.
A shipwrecked wretch meeting Galadriel randomly on the ocean. Yeah. I got you. I see what you're saying, Corey. We saw what his illusion magic can do. We saw him confuse people and incept thoughts upon them. What was even real about any scene Sauron was in? Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, well, and honestly, Cyber, you tell me. One of the aspects that I actually find very, very interesting and I'm very much looking forward to, and I thought about this internally myself, in terms of season 2, is getting a chance to actually, and we've talked about this, Cyber, getting a chance to actually see Sauron do shit, right? Not just be an eye, but see what he can actually do as a being when he's actually mobile and capable of talking and having dialogue, right? And seeing his powers, his power set, what he's capable of, you know, because I have to imagine what we saw with the dream state stuff with Galadriel was a very light version of what he's really able to do. That was not even the cusp of like his abilities. He can probably do a lot of shit magically. You know, however magic works in this universe, I'd have to imagine this to some extent. The power Sauron uses and has, his abilities, must in some way be connected in some way also to the witches and also the wizards, right? That magic, I want to assume, has to be in some sense the same, just different in terms of how you use it and go about it. And maybe gets mutated depending on whether you're doing something ethical or good, or unethical. And of course, again, Corey, if I'm wrong about that, please, I'd be more than happy for you to allude to me. Hey, Corey, let's not be injecting Jinjitsu into the Rings of the Power series, okay? We can't be having no Naruto Shippuden shit going on here, all right? Don't be taking me off track. Don't take me off course here, man. All right, now I'm trying to be professional here. Don't get me off track. All right, don't make me have to go get my Naruto hat and shit and the t-shirt and all that. Whatnot. I don't want to do all that. All right, let's not do that. Okay, come on now. Don't play with my emotions like that, man. Try to fuck me up, get me off guard and shit. I appreciate that, Corey. I'm telling you right now, man. I appreciate the super sticker, dude, but try to fuck me up. Anyways, so basically, based off the influence of Halbrand / Sauron, even with Galadriel knowing, right, that the intent of Sauron always was evil, and that was Sauron as Halbrand, they follow through with everything that basically they plan, and they do at that point go ahead and craft the rings of power. Not all of them. We don't see all of them. We do see one of them, I believe. And essentially that is how the episode closes out, is that we do finally see the crafting, right, of the rings, right? Which again, hey, that's the damn title of the series, folks. So hey, that's a positive. And from that standpoint, Cyber, what do you think? What are your thoughts on how the finale closes out? And what are your thoughts on Nori the Stranger, their dynamic, and I guess sort of the decision, and the support that she receives, by the rest of the Harfoots for her to go with the Stranger, right? How did you feel about all that and whatnot?
I mean, honestly, basically the conclusion of the this episode, the season finale, it was decent. I liked how it ended, and I love the very end sequence when it shows Sauron going, into Middle Earth and going to, his land and Mordor, and you get to see the big volcano exploding. So that was really powerful and awesome. And I mean, the dynamic between Nori and the Stranger is really fun. It kind of makes me think of Frodo and Gandalf a little bit, and kind of their dynamic too as well. And, once again, going back to the whole idea that, if this is Gandalf, his fondness for halflings, it looks like it started with Nori. So, being a Hardfoot, being an earlier version of a halfling, that's where basically we're kind of going with, Gandalf. That's kind of why he has this fondness for, halflings, because of what the relationship he had with Nori, because she was there for him when he had lost his memory and helped him basically get back to being the wizard he was. And so I think that that's a really fun dynamic relationship there that really did well. But overall, I thought that, this was a decent finale. I thought it was good. I thought it was really well done. And like I said, I think my favorite part really was seeing, Sauron going towards Mordor. That was really awesome.
Yes, most definitely. And that is actually a good point, Cyber, that they do discuss, geographically, right? Mordor, the South, and the witches actually, and I didn't mention this earlier, but the witches actually talk about that too. They tell the Stranger essentially something along the lines of, I think something about having the East, having it either come from the East or needing to travel to the East or something along those lines. I'm going to go back and watch the finale again. I am. I want to watch it again, not just for enjoyment purposes. I do. I want to, see if there's anything I didn't pick up, or how that goes, right? You always notice stuff when you watch a movie a second time. I do. But either way, no, that's actually a great point, Corey. The connection with the Reality Stone in terms of what Sauron projected with Galadriel, I totally see the connection. The only difference being that the Reality Stone is more direct and more singular, and in terms and less in scope, in terms of where Sauron's ability to push Galadriel to that dream state is over encompassing, right? Like she's legitimately in a different reality almost, right? Compared to how they demonstrated, the Reality Stone being used by Thanos. But again, though, we only saw in the Avengers films an inch, a breadth of what the reality stone can do and those stones can do. Sadly, there's just not enough. There's not enough movies you can make to really show you what the Infinity Stones are capable of. They can do a lot of shit. They can. A lot of shit. Just like Sauron can too. Sauron is definitely a talented motherfucker, without question. And without question also, I don't know about you, Cyber, but like kind of, I guess sort of almost like connecting off what you just said, I think personally that Charlie Vickers was the standout actor and actress in the series. I do. I think that he was the best as far as I'm concerned. What he did with his character, I'm not even talking about just the character and the story and the writing. I'm talking about him, how he pulled it off, how he looked, how he talked, his dialogue, facial expressions, his disposition, how he conducted himself on screen. I felt like was very authentic, right, and impactful and entertaining. What did you think?
Overall, the episode.
Overall, the series.
The series. Oh, okay. Overall, I thought the series was decent and enjoyable. There was a lot of great.
No, Charlie Vickers as Sauron and as Halbrand.
Oh.
I think he was. I think, in my opinion, I think he was the best actress in the series.
Oh no, I can't agree. I don't think he was
Okay.
anything that great.
No, okay.
I thought he was okay.
All right,
I don't think he had that much emotion or anything to him. I didn't think there was much to him. I mean, the actress that played Galadriel, she was decent. I don't think there really was any huge standout in the episode except for Adar. I thought the guy that played Adar was the best of the episode.
Yes,
the series, I should say.
You know what? That's a good point. I'm not. Look, Corey Cyber. I love Adar. I love him. Adar, great character. I have mentioned multiple times that he's been a highlight for me in the episodes he's been in and whatnot and everything. And again, it's my personal individual opinion. I like Charlie Vickers in this series, but I will say just that Joseph Mawle has done a wonderful job as Adar, and he's been very impactful, villainous. He's very Loki-like to me in a way. Not to mention Loki multiple times, but he reminds me of Loki. Not he also looks kind of like Loki. Same hair, black hair, thin build, tall. I'm sure if Renee was here, she would mention probably long penis, big penis. Hats off to you, Renee. And your love for big penises. Also, I'd like to mention Arendar. Love him. Awesome character. Loved him in the series. Really did. We did not see Bronwyn or Arendir in the finale, unfortunately. We didn't see him, which was okay. But I have to say that for me, again, in terms of the overall series, I really enjoyed overall the dynamic between Bronwyn and Arendir, and I also enjoyed their individual roles and their individual efforts and whatnot throughout the series and whatnot. What did you think? Cyber, what are your thoughts on Adar? And how the actor portrayed the character and sort of like, I guess, almost his impact or how he impacted his episodes.
Well, hands down, he was amazing. He was very impactful because he is basically like the head orc, even though he looks different than the other orcs. But as we discussed and as we've been shown in the series, this is where orcs were developed from elves. And so I think that he did a great job of giving us this like really kind of like quiet but yet sinister and dark character that we watched as in his episodes was very strategic, and at the same time he had so much else to show, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they bring with him in the next season, because I think that he was a really great force in this season, and he gave us kind of like an interesting idea of, where the orcs are heading and kind of what their role is going to be further down the line as we get closer to the actual Lord of the Rings. So I think that, he really is a great leader, and he just did a fantastic job. Really enjoyed him.
I did too. And essentially, also, I guess this is actually a personal thing. What did you think of the Arondir Bronwyn dynamic?
Honestly, I could have cared less about it.
I get the romantic part and all that. I'm just saying, in general, did it work?
It worked okay. Yeah. Like in any romance story. Yeah.
Okay. What about individually? Did you like Arondir in the series?
I did like him. I thought he was decent. I thought he was interesting. I thought he was a cool, different elf that we hadn't seen before. I like that he kind of filled in, I felt like, the Legolas role to me a little bit. Like, he was a very good sharpshooter with an arrow. He was very much like what Legolas would do. And, I thought that he had that kind of quality of like Legolas, just, a more, like a younger version of Legolas, basically. And so I thought that he was interesting, and he added some flavor to the, to the plot, to the story, to the series. And overall, I thought that the actor did a decent job.
Yeah, and he was more physical, right? Which I liked. You know what I'm saying? He would go hand to hand and whatnot, right? More rugged and strong. I like that contrast. If they would have made it just if he was a carbon copy of Legolas, I would have been okay with it, but it would have been kind of contrived. You know what I'm saying? If they'd done that, I don't know if that would have done much for me. So I like the contrast. I like that. And plus, of course, there is the inclusivity, right, of the race too, which we care so deeply about here at the Bleeding Edge, right? Because that is the most important thing at the end of the day, anyway. Is inclusivity. No, I'm just joking. It makes no fucking difference to me at all. Arondir can be fucking blue. I don't give a fuck. I'm actually hoping to have a blue person on the show soon. As soon as I can get one of the Smurfs on the phone, I'll have on. I promise. Papa Smurf, where you at, baby? Come on now. Let's
Hefty. No, we need Hefty on.
Hefty? Okay, all right. Yeah. We definitely don't want that one Smurf chick to come on and whatnot, because I'll just end up smashing her anyway. That might not be good for her. It could literally like darken, like it'd be like the Sauron version of the affection of like the darkness into the Smurfs, right? At the point that I smashed her. So I would not want to do that to the Smurfs, baby. Anyways, thank you very much, Corey, for your comments. And Corey says he's on the orc side, nothing villainous about him. From his side of that loyalty to the orcs, they're persecuted and enslaved. He fought for their freedom in the home above ground. He's a hero. Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I get what you're saying. He is sort of like an anti-hero in a way, in some way, I guess, if you want, very slightly, if anything. But I don't know. I still get a vibe from him that he's evil as fuck. I'm sorry. He seems like he's pretty much capable of anything, and it wouldn't even bother him. But again, I could be wrong. Just my opinion. And this is only season 1. What do you think, Cyber? Do you think that Adar will have a larger participation or bigger role in season 2?
It could be either way. We could see more of him. We couldn't see more of him. He could have the same screen time he had in this season. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, if they really focus on him and Browen, we'll probably see a lot of them. If that's a big storyline. But I feel like really the big storyline going on is Sauron, the Stranger, and Galadriel. So I feel like, those 3 characters are kind of the big main focus, especially going towards the original Lord of the Rings films and the Hobbits themselves, of course. And I think that, we're going to see, Sauron a lot more in this upcoming season, especially because he's building up to that, that era where we'll get to see him when he has gotten all the different, races and different parts of Middle Earth battling each other for the rings. So I think we're going to see a lot more of him, but at the same time, we're probably going to have those little side plots and stuff like that, a lot of them, and I'm sure Adorn will be a part of that, most definitely.
Yeah, and again, remember, I mean, again, he could be full of shit, but he said he killed Sauron at one point to Galadriel and whatnot and everything. He gave off the impression that he didn't even like Sauron, right? He wasn't even aligned with him, almost, right? You know what I mean? Sort of like Corey said, his only concern is the orcs, you know, like, and giving them a home and, you know, whatnot, and, you know, and giving them a better life almost to some extent. Which, who knows? That could be a subterfuge. We don't know. Or we could end up with a dynamic in season 2 where there's actually conflict between him and Sauron. So we'll have to see what happens. I would absolutely not like it at all if they somehow just decided to drop him from the fucking season 2. That would suck. I would not see it as a highlight or a positive at all. And I'll be honest with you again, Cyber, I don't know how you feel about it, but I guess it's like some sort of closing remarks in terms of the series itself and going into season 2. I personally, I'm excited for season 2. I am. What they gave us in season 1 has put me in a place where at the end of the finale right now, I'm excited to see season 2. What do you think?
I am very much looking forward to season 2. I'm, you know, looking forward to seeing where they bring this, what, you know, they do with Sauron, what they do with the Stranger, what they do with Nori, what they do with, you know, pretty much all the characters that are still around in this series. And I'm interested in seeing more with the rings of power, what these rings do, what these rings, you know, why they cause certain races to go like they would, you know, become empowered like they are. Just like within the Lord of the Rings, when, you know, they say that man, you know, they're the one that really the rings really grasp the hardest. So it'll be interesting to see just how they play that out and show kind of that progression to where we get towards that final battle when Sauron is supposedly destroyed, you know, at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Rings, you know, film. And so it'll be interesting to just see what exactly else they, you know, produce and give us, you know, what storyline they decide to go with, what else they're going to add, or if they're going to introduce new characters and stuff like that. It'll be interesting to see just where it goes. I mean, this was a solid season. It was really interesting, really fun. Like I said, it had its ups and downs, but overall, I thought it was a really fantastic season.
I agree. Good opinion. Good contribution. And Corey, I had no idea that it's going to be 2 fucking years until we get the second season. But you know what? I can tell you right now, that's going to be intense because, fuck, my penis is going to be exhausted by then, man. I mean, seriously. It may fall off by then. It's possible. I could be penisless by that time. So I could be a different man at that. I could be a different moderator at that point. Who knows what happens without a penis? I have no idea. I haven't been there yet. But we'll see, right? Could happen. You know. Go ahead, Cyber.
I thought it already fell off.
No, it's just in permanent erectile dysfunction state.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's how the same thing is falling off. It just means that I'm like flaccid constantly. You know? And tiny. That's okay, though. You know, last time I checked, women love extremely small penises, right? It's the best thing ever. So, you know, there you go, guys.
Motion to the ocean.
Yeah, that's it. And on top of that, I actually, you know, it would be an interesting sociological experiment if instead of even doing a season 2, right? All Amazon did was just release an episode of the whole season, 1 episode, and all it is just Galadriel naked. That's it, right? Versus a season 2. And see how things play out, like what people say about it, the ratings, all that, right? Hey, that would be a game changer, baby. Be an interesting situation, interesting study. I'm telling you,
that's their side project that you'll be wanting to buy at another time.
If there is any university or college out there that would actually be willing to employ me in some way, even unpaid, you can even pay me with cloth and shit like the Tuscans. I'm fine with it. You know, I've been setting it for years anyway. At that point, if you would just please let me step in real quick and run your sociology department for a year, I'm telling you, the sociological fucking studies and experiments I would come up with would be goddamn crazy and fucking interesting. It would change humanity forever. All right, for real. In a good way or a bad way, I have no idea, but it would be interesting without question, because that's how it is, baby. Just like the bleeding edge, shit's always interesting. You know what I'm saying? It's never boring. It's always entertaining. Right? Even when we suck, even when I suck. Cyber never sucks, but I occasionally suck. So it happens. You know, but I don't suck dick though. Only on Tuesdays. And black dick. It has to be black dick for inclusivity purposes, as we've discussed before. Anyways, Cyber, I'm telling you, brother. I'm sorry, man. I know I overdo it sometimes, but no. So I don't know about you, Cyber. I'm going to give the finale I'm going to give it an 8.5. What do you think?
I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay. I think that's fair. It's fair. You definitely, I know you have and I have both rated earlier episodes higher than that. We have, you know, which of course, you know, logically means that we've both found other episodes more impactful and more entertaining than this one, you know, what we got in this one. But hey, doing a finale is tough, right? It can't be easy. You know, it's probably a little pressure involved, I imagine. And it is a finale, if anything, right? So, I mean, you know, you really want to do it right. You know, you almost want it to be almost perfect. And nothing's perfect. So, you know, in terms of, you know, the outside, the other creators out there on YouTube, and other platforms and whatnot, and their opinions of the series and some of the you know, the derogatory remarks, and negative, you know, comments and stuff and whatnot, and content made about the series, making fun of it and whatnot. Some of it's funny to me. It's sort of lighthearted. I don't mind it. I think it is kind of amusing and funny. Some of it's kind of ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. I think it's stupid. But as Cyber and I and June were talking about in the studio before the show, all I'm going to honestly say at this point, as we wrap this up, I'm not going to jump into a whole other conversation here. This will be another whole show to flush out our thoughts on how good the series was versus the negative the hatred towards it. All I can say is that I don't agree with it. The people who are out there flat out saying it's the worst thing ever, right? It taints the Lord of the Rings, all that. Again, I'm not one of the fandom where I know all this stuff and I'm an expert. I think it's exaggerated to some extent. I do. It's either contrived or just flat out exaggerated. I don't think the series was as bad as they're making out to sound. Right? That's it. That's all I have to say about it. I respect everybody's opinion. I do. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'm just saying I don't agree with you. It was not that bad. Cyber, what do you think?
No, I think overall it was a decent first season. I would give the whole season a solid 8 out of 10. And I think that overall that it, whatever people had against it or hatred or just what they thought was flaws or didn't like about it, and it wasn't like to their expectations, you know, everyone has their own opinion. That's just what opinions are. Opinions are going to be different than everyone else. So you got to enjoy it. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You know, it shouldn't influence you on how you enjoy it. And remember that it's all about, you know, it's all about enjoying it no matter what. It's for everyone. It's for anyone to watch. It is supposed to be entertainment. And if you add anything else to it, it's pointless. So if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't, you don't. It's all good. So yeah. I enjoyed it and I give it an 8 out of 10.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that Cyber would agree with me 100% also when I say that we over here at the Bleeding Edge thrive on opinions and different opinions. And we believe in them and respect them highly. And I'm not fucking around with that. We do. We care about them. We thrive on them. That's a part of what we do here on the Bleeding Edge. It's a big part of what we do. Is having people on here, having these big discussions and having different opinions and having differences and sometimes even arguing about them, right? But at the end of the day, positively, right? And walking away as friends. You know what I mean? You know, I'm not trying to get all fucking white knight here. But I'm just saying, bottom line, Cyber's right. Opinions are opinions. We all have them. We're individuals. Individualism matters. Okay? It does. And at the end of the day, a fucking television series is not worth fighting over. It's not. If you enjoyed it, you didn't. Or you didn't, that's your choice. I'm not going to hate you because of it. Right? It's your choice or your opinion. If I have an opinion on your opinion, hey, it's just another opinion, right? So it doesn't mean I don't like you. It's personal. It doesn't work that way as far as I'm concerned. But again, just like Cyber said, you guys like Corey and the faithful and the fandom and Lord of the Rings folks that really are into the lore and whatnot. If there's aspects of this stuff that, you know, you don't like because it isn't accurate enough, maybe from the source material or whatever, I respect that. It's your opinion. And I respect it. I do. just like Corey, I appreciate and respect your support and help throughout the episode and whatnot, through the finale review, in terms of some of the pronunciations, right? And filling in some of the gaps and whatnot. Because guess what, folks? I can be true knowledge, but I don't know shit about a lot of stuff at the end of the day. I'm a human being. I'm flawed. I haven't read everything. And at that point, I'm no expert, about this stuff. I will tell you though, Corey, I read the books. I have. The only one I didn't read was the Silmarillion. I could not get through the whole bitch. That thing is boring as fuck, man. It is. I'm sorry. It's boring. I'll tell you right now, Cyber, you want to read some dry, boring shit, read the Silmarillion. Seriously. I could not even get through it, man. But thank you, Corey, again. And Corey says you'll have to read all the books to have a handle on why Tolkien fans are so negative. Okay, that's fair. Plus, they denigrated Tolkien's fans and the man himself. There's people who don't understand that. Good for you. All right, yeah. Okay. I get that. It makes sense. It's logical. Okay. They're sneering at us and Tolkien himself, going about it. If you don't see that, as I said, good for you. Okay. No, thank you, Corey. We appreciate that. And again, as I said, I respect you as a fan and whatnot and everything. I get it. You're really hardcore into this and stuff, and it's very important to you. Just like it is like me with the MCU or Cyber, right? With Marvel. We love Marvel. We love the MCU. We live and die with that shit. But at the end of the day, though, we don't take it home after work, right? We don't live in, we're not dying and really living and dying over it. It's not going to friggin' end my world and shit.
Except for She-Hulk.
Except for yeah. Well, She-Hulk is honestly, I think She-Hulk may end up becoming later on the actual end of humanity, possibly. The end of the human race, possibly. It's possible. At one point, I thought that messaging was the bane of human existence, and that talking to women on Snapchat was going to end the human race. But I've now decided it's now She-Hulk. And talking to women on Snapchat is number 2. Because talking to women on Snapchat is fucking crazy, man. It's tough. But either way, folks, we appreciate you. That is the end of the finale review of Rings of Power. We loved the series. It was great. We enjoyed it. We loved. We cried. We lived and died. Like Texas not dead and shit. And we're still alive and back. All that and whatnot. And it was good. We enjoyed it. Nice to do some different shit. Nice to cover some different content, different genre, different niche. We enjoyed it. And we're going back to our roots here soon. Gonna be all kinds of Marvel and MCU shit going down. Gonna be getting in some DCU shit too. James Gunn, baby. What's up? Can't wait. Shit, I'm not even a huge DC fan, and I'm excited about DC now because of James Gunn. James Gunn's no joke. But Cyber, my friend, as we close out, if you'd like to potentially maybe let folks know what you've got going on from a individual content standpoint, feel free to plug away. Shout out anybody you want. Have at it.
Thank you. Well, as always, as I I always say, if you enjoy me on here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge, you can definitely check out my solo content under Cyberneticshark. You'll find me on most social platforms, pretty much all of them. You just look under Cyberneticshark, you should find me. Recently, I've been putting up quite a few trailer reactions, some ones that I've recorded a couple weeks ago that I'm just finally getting uploaded, just because I've been so busy. So keep an eye out for those. I will have my basically trailer review for Pearl popping up in the next couple days. You'll also see my trailer review for Secret Invasion popping up. I will be having my the Monsters review, Black Adam, Black Panther, all those popping up soon here in the next week or so. Just got to edit them. They already filmed. I'm recently doing for my short videos. If you're interested in little short videos, I've been doing a lot of those lately, at least anywhere from 2 to 4 a day. You can check out, I'm currently doing the Fast and Furious franchise in those. I have done the first 2 films. Definitely check those out. And I'll be working on more content as it comes, all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, and if you enjoy me on here, definitely go and subscribe to that channel as well. And if you enjoy us, keep coming back. We'll be back on Friday talking about Andor episode 4.
Excellent. Yes, Friday evening. Andor episode 4. Stacy, host of some real shit podcast, will be back with us. Are always entertaining and unspoken, no matter what. always fun transgender guest, our favorite tranny out there. Jasmine will be back with us on the panel and whatnot, getting after it. Cyber's best friend, and hero. We love you, Jazz. What's up, hon? No, we're loving Andor. We are great. I'm loving it so far. And again, that's my opinion. I think it's been going great. So yes, episode 4 of Andor on Friday night. Sunday, we'll have a show. I don't know if Cyber will be on with me or not and whatnot, but it's going to be at 7 p.m. And we're going back to our roots, baby. It's Marvel time, MCU, baby. What's up? Getting after it. Don't know for sure yet what the final product's going to be. It's going to be Marvel, baby. Marvel all day, every day. Folks, listen. Enjoy the hell out of the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Be safe, all right? Take care. Don't take everything too seriously. Enjoy this review, and God bless you. And thank you for all you subscribers. We appreciate you. Super stickers are awesome. Corey, you're awesome. Raymond, you're awesome. Cyber, you're awesome. June, you're awesome. She-Hulk, you suck. Jessica Gao, burn in hell. Peace and hell. Peace out, folks. It's up for you, Jessica Gao. God damn it.
Every day of the week. If I hop up on the mic, they gon' play it on repeat. Cash 100 milli check, I get paid just to breathe. Kill it 24/7, cause I slay in my sleep. Flames pipe down when I enter.